the family Australia. From the 1960s to the 1990s, Anne Hamilton Byrne collected to create her vision of a perfect race. They were told that they were Anne and her husband's biological kids, wore uniforms, and were given an initiation into the family. Talk about welcoming someone with open arms. Jeez, that's awful. Oh, good God, that's her hair? Oh my God, that would send me running for the hills first off. Like 100%. No way. Some people, I can't. I mean, but also like the kids who were in that cult, that's not their fault at all. They were just looking for a family to make them feel safe, and instead they met that woman. God, that's like a series of unfortunate events in like real time. Synanon. Recovering alcoholic Charles Chuck Diedrich founded Synanon in 1958 to provide substance abuse reform to drug users as well as alcoholics in Santa Monica, California. The name was chosen when a member slurred the words symposium and seminar, explains Paul Morantz, an expert on the cult. The 1950s were a time when incarceration was considered the only cure for drug addiction. Synanon emphasized tough love and a cold turkey approach to rehabilitation for substance abusers. The group attracted thousands of drug addicts and eventually accepted juvenile delinquents who were ordered by the courts to receive Synanon's services, for a fee of course. Depends on the drug. From what I've heard, like a cold turkey approach could kill you because your body goes into shock almost. That's kind of terrifying. But if it's cigarettes, you know, that's how my grandpa quit by accident. He just did like a cold turkey approach. He just got too lazy to buy them and then all of a sudden he was quit. So I don't know. I mean, it's not around anymore for a reason. I'm just not sure what that reason is. It looks like it's supposed to help people, but holy rollers. Oh baby. Franz Edmund Crefeld was a German-American religious leader who founded a movement in Corvallis, Oregon. I feel like Oregon comes up with some weird things, you know, it's like a weird place to be. That became known locally as the Holy Rollers. The movement, mainly popular among women, was widely regarded as a cult. Crefeld, who believed himself the second coming of Jesus, that's the sign, had a number of run-ins with the authorities and the local citizens over the next several years, often stemming from his relations with female followers and increasing behavior. In 1906, he was married by George Mitchell, whose sister was one of Crefeld's followers. After being acquitted of wrongdoing in the killing, Mitchell was himself by his sister in revenge, with another follower subsequently committing. The story attracted national attention and was major news for a time in the Pacific Northwest. What a strange thing to read about! Wow. That just spiraled down into the deepest depths. That just got very strange. But again, if someone, like if someone says that they are the second coming of Jesus, like if somebody says that about themselves, that's like somebody saying, I'm such a good person, you know, and they're like the worst person. Don't believe them. It's not true, okay? Just like be skeptical, because chances are it's like 1 in a trillion, okay? A trillion. Stay safe, everyone. If you didn't know, cults are not a good thing to join, okay? And if you either have to pay any money, if someone says that they are the savior or like a second coming of Jesus, if they say it, no. If they dictate your way of life in very rigorous, strange ways, wow, this sounds pretty familiar to a lot of things going on in the world. Anyways, welcome back to Top 10 Central Dark, everyone. I'm your host, Rachel Fisher, and today we are talking about the top 10 scary cults that you shouldn't join, part 2. Like you needed more of a reason, but you know, guess the more you know, the less likely you are to make the same mistakes. Hopefully that's true. I have no idea. You know? Like, people say don't stick your tongue to a metal pole, but I did it when I was younger because I was like, will it? It will. It will. So anyways, let's move on. Buddha Field. Buddha Field is a new religious movement mainly known from its coverage in the documentary film Holy Hell, directed by Will Allen. It began in the 1980s in Hollywood and continues in Hawaii today, often recruiting through yoga studios. Oh God. The group has been described by some former members as being a cult. The leader of Buddha Field is a man previously known as Michelle Andreas. The teacher or Reiki known as Jamie Gomez. Buddha Field largely uses New Age ideas. Jamie Gomez thinks of himself as God. See? Right? It's just it's just an outlet for narcissists. And encourages his followers to think of themselves as God as well. You see what I mean? Like, it's just an outlet for a hyper narcissistic dude who thinks he should rule the world. That is essentially what a cult is. It's like, this guy walks out of the womb and is like, I am, everyone should follow me. And all the lost little lambs are like, yeah, I'm so lost, I'm gonna follow you. But you know what, there's a lot of emotional manipulation involved too, so like, who knows. Be safe, and you are so worth your own agency. Currently called Jeffrey Don Lundgren. Jeffrey Don Lundgren was an American self-proclaimed prophet and mass who on April 17th, 1989, 5 people in Kirtland, Ohio. Lundgren led a Latter-day Saints movement-based cult and interpreted scripture using an unconventional method that he described as chiastic. This method involved searching text for reoccurring patterns. He and several of his followers, the Avery family, fellow members of his cult, for which he was convicted and sentenced to good. Lundgren was in 2006. I shouldn't have said that. I don't fully believe in the punishment, because obviously there are some people who are going to be put on road who do not belong there, and I just don't want that to be a thing. And also I don't want to like lower ourselves to the same standard of what these people, how these people treat life. But that's like way too much philosophy for you today. Oh God. Don't come for me in the comments. The Congregation of Light. This sounds like a cult. The Congregation of Light, or just the Light, has been around since the 1960s. However, its teachings originated in the 19th century England. A married couple known as the Wyeths, awful name, awoke from a shared dream and wrote down what they could remember. These writings became the Light's ideology. Fast forward to the 21st century, and the mysterious society now has over 200 members in New York, an unknown number in Washington, D.C. and Atlanta. Every Thursday evening, without exception, why Thursday? The members gather at their leader's building to hear him preach. The building is located in a Manhattan neighborhood, 160 East 35th Street, Murray Hill. Tom Bayer, the current leader, stands in the middle of the room and preaches, reading from pieces of paper that have been passed down to him. There are no religious texts, and under no circumstance are members allowed to take notes. No note taking! The Light's members believe that they descended from a master Aryan race on Atlantis, and that in a previous life we all lived on the moon. Okay, karma plays a big role. For example, suffering from an illness is considered to be the result of something bad the person did in a prior life. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, so no need to go to the doctor. You were just an awful person in the past life. Cults. The world is vast and weird. Anthill Kids. Roch Theriault was a Canadian cult leader and convicted Canadian! Hey! Not something to celebrate. Theriault, a self-proclaimed prophet under the name Moise, that's too close to moist, founded the Anthill Kids in 1977. They were a doomsday cult, so positive, whose beliefs were based on Seventh-day Adventist church beliefs. Theriault maintained multiple wives and concubines, impregnating all female members as a religious requirement, and fathering 26 children. Theriault was arrested for assault in 1989, dissolving the cult, and was convicted for murder in 1993 for the death of follower Solange Bollard. Theriault received a life sentence, which he was serving when he was at Dorchester Penitentiary in 2011. Ugh. Ew! Ugh. And he's Canadian. Just the grossest. Gross. That is grosser than like Cheese Whiz. No, that's a very awful analogy. It's in my day. It just makes me so sick in my stomach. Ugh. Yeah, like a Cheese Whiz and ranch toast smoothie. That's the most disgusting man on this planet. Ew. Branch Davidians under David Koresh. David Koresh was an American cult leader who played a central role in the Waco siege of 1993. I know about Waco. As the head of the Branch Davidian sect, an offshoot of the Davidian Seventh-day Adventist Church, Koresh claimed to be its final prophet. Of course he did. Narcissist. Coming from a dysfunctional background, Koresh was a member and later a leader of the Branch Davidians, a movement originally led by Benjamin Roden, based at the Mount Carmel Center outside Waco, Texas. By 1990, Koresh had become the leader of the Branch Davidians and legally changed his name, saying on the court document that the change was for publicity and business purposes. He said the switch arose from his belief that he was now head of the biblical house of David. His rule ended with the Waco siege of 1993 when the group was suspected of weapons violations. Gunfire broke out that erupted into a fire, killing 76 people, including Koresh. That's awful. Again, you know how I feel about cults, obviously, from my reactions, but I'm pretty sure this story was strange because it did result in a lot of innocents being killed because of police action, which I don't agree with. But and actually he was like pretty peaceful, like he didn't do anything too crazy from what I understand. Let us know in the comments if you've seen the show Waco. I only seen a couple 2 episodes, but apparently it's like, he's not the worst human being. He's not the worst on this list, let's put it that way. The Children of Thunder, oh, that's a cool name. That's a really cool name. I want to be a child of thunder, but it's gonna get weird, isn't it? Let's read it. The cult consisted of 3 people. That's small, that's nice, okay, 3 people in a cult. Brothers Glenn Taylor and Justin Helzer, along with their roommate. I just love that. Doesn't get a name, just he's the roommate. Justin claimed God spoke to him personally. Glenn Taylor Helzer called himself a prophet who wanted to kill Mormon leaders and take over the church in 2000. They killed 5 people while trying to extort 100 grand to start a group that would thwart Satan by spreading peace and love. Helzer and his brother Glenn Helzer, who went by his middle name, Taylor, were sentenced to death in 2005 for the which were planned as part of a bizarre blackmail scheme. Interesting that they decided to use violence to attain peace. Aggressive Christianity Missionary Training Corps. The Aggressive Christianity Missions Training Corps is a militaristic Christian fundamentalist new religious movement. God, these are so wordy. The ministry, founded in 1981 by James and Deborah Green, still retains its military structure, partially based on the original pattern of the Salvation Army. With leaders who insist on being called generals, the ACMTC follows a military-like structure inspired by the Salvation Army. Members are trained to surrender their free will. Oh God. And are not allowed to do anything their leaders wouldn't want them to do. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, but if you do, name it after me. That's how I would run a cult. It would just be like, hey guys, be a good person. I wouldn't run a cult though, because I don't have a narcissistic, murderous desire to control people and make them be uniform, because that's an awful thing to do, because people are individuals and we should celebrate that. Anyways guys, thank you so much for watching this terrifying list of what people will do for control and I just can't handle it. I've been your host, Rachel Fisher, and until next time, take care, stay scared, and be aware. If you have to pay any money, people say that they have the answer to life, run away. Anyways, starting off at number 1. Sorry, not starting. Number 1, to create her version of a perfect race. They were told they were Anne and her husband's biological kids wore uniforms. I'm f***ing this up so hard. I don't need these. I don't need these. What am I doing? Come on. Number 2, Synanon. The group attracted thousands of drug addicts. Why am I saying it? With another follower wow. Buddhafield. Number 4, Buddhafield. What?
A quick intro.
Oh, an intro, yes.
Scary cults, you should join part 2. And then go on to number 4. And
If you didn't know, Welcome back to the Top 10 Central Dark, everyone. And encourages his followers to think of him that Jamie Gomez thinks of himself as a god. Jeffrey Don Lundgren. Lundgren? This method involves searching text. We gotta get some water. Stay hydrated, my friends. Is that aggressive? You bet it was. As the head of the branch, Davidians, brothers Glenn Taylor, Justin Helzer, along with their roommate. Great. Mad World needs to play in the background right now, but probably won't be able to play because of law.